Hey guys, well, it is pretty awesome day here in the shop. I had an opportunity to work with the tong jigs, which if you haven't seen that companion video to this video, get there. We have a problem. I don't have a hat. Where is my hat? Yeah, well, screw it. Gonna have to improvise. I don't have one of my shop hats, so you're gonna get the show hat. There we go. It's mail call, and let's see here. Here we go. Guys, just a quick overview of the past 2 weeks. Holy monkey. I want to tell you guys how much I appreciate the absolute flood of support and comments with the recent videos. We wanted to try something new in the shop because, again, it's so hot here. It's very difficult to set up the production studio. A lot of you guys, if you've looked on our YouTube channel on Purgatory Ironworks, you've seen a lot of the videos we've done before. They are pretty high value productions. We've got 2 cameras, studio lighting, and all that kind of good stuff. But they take so much time and they're just not profitable for the shop. Even those big videos, you got to understand that for a lot of YouTubers, it's about $1 per 1,000 views. So even if I get 30,000 views, that means I've made 30 bucks. But usually I only get 30,000 views after about 3 years. So that's 30 bucks over 3 years, $10 a year. You can see the problem. The reason we do this stuff is so that we can connect with you, help you guys, and we need to be able to be responsive to what you need. When you ask a question, you need to be able to get some information to it. And so that's one of the reasons I really enjoy doing this mail video, because I can get your questions and I pay very close attention to the comments and give you a good answer that is probably going to be more robust than what I would write out, because if I had to write out the answer to all my questions, I'd do nothing but type. So, starting off, we've got Troy Kirster, who says, Trenton, sir, that's all this sir crap, son. I really love watching and learning from your videos, and I've learned a ton. Really appreciate that, man, I do. On that note, what is your favorite and least favorite steels to work with for knife making, and why? I always say, even when I went on Forge and Fire, I'm a blacksmith, not necessarily a knife maker, though I have made a lot of knives. And this is where you kind of get into the nuance of who's been making the more knives, because if you make a whole lot of knives, you're going to have, by necessity, a lot more experience with the steels. I've probably made 2,000 knives in my time, and which is not a small number, but again, it's pales into comparison with people who do this for a full-time living. So, but down here, my preferred steels usually are in the form of what I can put hands on. I really enjoy 5160. It's something I'm very familiar with. 5160 comes in the form of leaf springs down here, the mystery junkyard steel. And I've had great results with it. It's a spring steel, it's tough, it's durable. If you do it right, you won't ever break a blade. And there is something extra cool about having somebody come to the shop and say, hey, can you forge your blades out for me real quick? Running out into the scrap yard and taking a cutting torch to a big giant rack of springs and then beating that into a knife. It has a lot of showmanship effect on a customer. And I don't know if you guys know this, but I try to be a good showman. So outside of that, I've recently been using a lot of 1095. I've got the heat treat ovens for it. It's a little tougher, it's a little finicker, a little finicker about the heat treat, but I've enjoyed it. So yeah, 1095 and 5160 kind of got to be on my top. One steel I don't like dealing with is D2, and D2 is a very high chromium steel, and it is really not a great forging steel. If you get that stuff a little too hot and smack it with a hammer, it crumbles like a cookie. It's a real monkey. Probably fantastic for stock removal, but I like to forge a lot of my stuff just because my knives are or something I enjoy doing. If I were doing production, I don't think I'd have such a problem with D2 because it'd be stock removal. But yeah, D2 is on my list. Just had a bad experience with it. So, thank you, Mr. Troy, for that question. Next up, Kenneth Johnson. You need to do a video of how to use a cross peen hammer the right way. I've still not figured out how to use the cross end yet. Yet I know the rounding, but I know what the rounding end is used for. Absolutely. Mr. Kenneth, it's not all that complicated. Cross peen hammer, which is mostly known as a blacksmith hammer. Hang on, I'll get you an example. This is a cross peen hammer. The kind of the opposite of that would be a straight peen hammer, which instead of this being perpendicular to the handle, it would actually be parallel. So you can, I see a lot of knife makers using a cross peen, and that's really not a great thing, because a knife maker really doesn't have use for a cross peen. A knife maker has use for a straight peen, and this is why. Because when you're doing blacksmith work, a lot of times in the old days when you were actually doing forge welding, let's say you wanted to take 2 bars and fuse them into a T using a forge weld. Well, on the end of the 1 bar, what you wanted to do is you actually wanted to spread the metal left and right to make a lap, okay? So if you're holding the bar, like, look at a piece of our bronze. If you're holding the bar like this and you're working on it, when you're striking it with the cross peen, what's happening is it's going to cause that material to move up and down, okay? So it's going to spread it left to right. Knife makers really never need to do that with a bar. If anything, they need to spread metal, they need to stretch it. And so when you're at a resting position, working on a piece of knife steel, if you're going to be smacking it, you want it to be perpendicular here so that it stretches the metal left and right as opposed to up and down from this perspective. So that's the big difference between a cross peen and a straight peen. Again, the cross is something that's not used by a lot of smiths today simply because we don't forge weld a lot of that heavy steel. You can still use that in conjunction with a swage block to kind of help make some curves, but it has limited use. Actually, more of your sheet metal hammers are going to have a better use there. So that's pretty much the basic difference, and it's just not something that's used a whole lot anymore. All right, and last one comes from Dylan Lawrence. I'm sure you get these random messages a lot, but I just want to say thanks for all the videos. I've been wanting to get into blacksmithing for years, but never really could. This weekend is finally the time I get to start, though. A buddy and I have acquired a pair of anvils and put together a small forge. Not much of a words guy, but I wanted to say thanks for the advice, the encouragement, and a few laughs. Again, Mr. Dillon, thank you so much for writing in. You know, you guys are the reason that we do this. You know, it's we enjoy doing this. This is not a money maker for us in any shape, form, or fashion. In fact, if I'm honest, it actually costs the shop a lot of money. But I've been doing this for 10 years. I had an incredible man take a little bit of time with me to share this craft, and this is my opportunity to pay a little bit of that back. So guys, again, it's been an incredible 2 weeks. We are going to continue keeping videos up every day, so please tune in. If you're here on Facebook, watch us on the Facebook page under Trenton Tie, and of course we are on YouTube under Purgatory Ironworks. A subscribe would be much appreciated. So guys, be good, and I will see you tomorrow.